Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah ma ba'd. The question is asking about something that he's seen on social media. The person on social media is basically saying here, according to the form of madhahib, that women can do their eyebrows in order to please their husbands. Is this something which is correct? And what's the correct view on this? Now, quite rightly, what he has read is correct. And the reason why we're recording this clarification is because if a person wants to read that or hear it in the way that the person wrote it, I would say that it could cause a lot of confusion, and perhaps, if you take the view that it's not permissible, then that's misinformation on top of that. But there are conditions as well that the madhahib have put down, and we'll discuss that now. First thing that we need to understand, the hadith in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, under authority of Abdullah bin Mas'ud, the Messenger of Allah said, لَعْنَ اللَّهُ الْوَاشِمَاتِ وَالْمُسْتَوْشِمَاتِ. Allah curses the woman who tattoos herself or does the tattooing for others. وَالنَّامِسَاتِ وَالْمُتَنَمِّسَاتِ. And those women who do nums, and those women who provide the service of doing nums for other women. What is a nums? A nums is where a woman is removing either her eyebrow hairs or her eyelashes. Any other facial hair is permissible for her to remove. Now in this hadith you can clearly see that it's not permissible for a woman to do nums, which is to remove the eyebrows. However, quite rightly, the four madhahib are agreed that a woman can do it in order to please her husband. So the Hanafis have said if the husband has asked for it and he wants her to look in a particular way. The Shafi'is have said as long as the husband can't tolerate it anymore, meaning in the sense that he really wants her to look in a particular way. And the Maliki and the Hanabila have said, as long as the husband wants her to look like that, and there's no fear of tabarruj, and she's not going to go out showing it to other people, and that she is married. Now, all four of the madhahib have said that she has to be married. Now, that's very important information, because I feel that I was missing from the initial post of the person who posted in social media. A person, if they read that, they would think it's okay for all women as long as they've got permission. That's not correct. Here, as we can see from the four madhahib, is that the husband would like it, that she looks in a particular way. So they have said, number one, here there's an exception. What's the dalil? The dalil is a narration that came in Musannif of Abdul Razak, that a woman, she came to Aisha radiallahu anha, and she asks about removing, or shaping the eyebrows. So she said, "Imti'i anki al-adha, mastata'ti," meaning remove whatever access you have as much as you are able to make sure you look nice for your husband. Now, some of the ulama, so that's the view of the majority. Now, some of the ulama have said that narration is not sahih. The chain of narration going back to Aisha is not sound. But even if we were to say that it is sahih, then if we look at the rest of the hadith of the Messenger of Allah, where he forbade tattooing or filing, etc., of the teeth, if we were to take this understanding, then those things would also then become permissible. Tattooing would become permissible. Filing the teeth, for the purpose of beautification, that would then become permissible. And none of the scholars have ever said that. But then we also have another narration going back to Aisha, and some of the ulama have said that this is actually more sound, that a woman asked her about extending her hair. She said, no, don't do that. قَدْ لُئِنَ الْمُوسِلَاتِ, meaning those women who extend their hair, there is a curse on them. And that is also found in that original hadith that we were talking about. So that they have said now here, we have actually contrary to what Aisha has said from the other narration that you guys are using. Then we've also got usul al-fiqh. So from the original narration, one of the narrations is that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is the one who narrated that hadith. لَعْنَ اللَّهُ النَّامِسَاتِ وَالْمُتَنَمِّسَاتِ. And a woman came to Abdullah bin Mas'ud when she heard that he was narrating this hadith, and she was very upset, and she said, your own wife did it, etc., etc., etc. Abdullah bin Mas'ud said, no, if my wife did it, then I wouldn't be with her. But then he narrated, or he recited the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. What the Messenger of Allah has forbidden you from, then stay away from it. What's the point here? The point here is that in usul al-fiqh is that if you've got companions differing from one another, and one's got one view, another one's got another view, then you take it back to the dalil, you take it back to the kitab and the sunnah. The majority of the ulama have said, look, there is concession for wives to do it for their husbands, and also these things are prohibited because it has an element of deception. So when she's doing her eyebrows, her facial features change, etc. Because she's already married, there isn't that fear of deception anymore. Now, the other side have responded by saying, now this is a little bit complicated, that this illah is mustanbata, meaning this reason for prohibition, you have kind of derived it, that it's about deception. And those ilal which are based on istinbat cannot be used as evidence. And this is well known when it comes to usul al-fiqh, and this is well known from the madahib of the usul that you find in the Shafi'iyya and the Hanabila. So they have said, okay, well, even if you were to say that women can do it for their husbands because there's no fear of deception, in response we'll say, well, where did you get this deception idea from in the first place? Rather, what we find in the text is that it is prohibited and a woman is not allowed to do that. So that's why we recorded this, because there is a lot that's involved in it. It's not as simple as a person saying, well, if your husband wants you to do it, then you can. Yes, there is that view, but there are conditions for that also. She has to be married. It has to be with the husband's sort of like discussion with the husband's consent, if you like. And it also has to be something that the husband actually wants and actually requires, rather than, something based on just like a whim or passing desire. There is also another thing that we have to mention, which is that the Hanabila, so now a person will say, okay, now we have come to the conclusion that it's prohibited. Okay, that seems to be the more correct view, and this is the view of the many of the contemporaries, Lajna Da'ima, Uthaymin, Bin Baz and others. Right. So then you would say, okay, then what can she do for her husband? Now, for me, what seems to be more correct, and this is the view of Imam Ahmad, is that this hadith which prohibits the numps refers to plucking only. So if she wants to dye her eyebrows, permissible for her to do so. If she wants to trim her eyebrows, permissible for her to do so. If she wants to cut around it, permissible for her to do so. What is not permissible is the plucking. Imam Ahmad was asked about it. He said, "La bats bin natf." There's no harm. La bats illa bin natf. There's no harm as long as she doesn't pluck her eyebrows. So hopefully we've kind of touched upon what this person was talking about, and we've added some clarification on it, which I feel is important. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us the best of understanding of the Kitab and the Sunnah and its implementation of it. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على محمد.